Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Reiner, your host of the Independent Doctors of Pahrump, a TV show that airs Monday night on Channel 46. I want to remind you that I am a practicing physician in Pahrump, and I'm an independent practitioner, which means I am not bought by any insurance company or corporate medicine. We provide the highest level of care. We have nurse practitioners. We have other physicians, specialists who come to our office. Please come visit me. I'm at 1316 East Calvada here in the heart of Pahrump. Thank you. Okay, we're back from the break, and we were talking a little bit about cancer prevention so that you don't get caught up in the cesspool of cancer treatment that exists today. The other thing you might want to do is think about not eating trying to eat non-GMO based foods. Genetically modified organisms, unfortunately, have been linked to a lot of problems. Certainly none of which less is weight gain and obesity and things of that nature. So, and there was a study that was linked obesity and altered lifestyle to risk for cancer. And so certainly BMIs into the 30s and 40s carries much higher risk of developing cancer. And so it is important to have an active lifestyle, to keep moving, to get that exercise so that you can basically help fight off the demons of things that want to so-called take you out. And I think there was a nice story about diet sodas. One of the things that diet sodas do is they do trick your body into believing it's another chemical that does that. So, oh good, we got Ray calling back. Ray.
Yes, you do. You know, you mentioned GMOs. I listened to a show on Sunday. It's at 2 o'clock on 97.7 FM. The name of the woman, she's a nutritionist. Her name is Suzanne Livingston. Now, she was talking about GMOs and, you know, how it's way out of control. Monsanto has just overdone everything with the GMOs and how dangerous they are. And then she segued into the positive points about cannabis. She said the nutritional value of cannabis is tremendous, and people do not know this. And then she went on to say about a fellow named Ricky Simpson that if you Google him on the internet, he was in stage 4 of skin cancer, and he was almost dead. And he found a way to get the oil out of the cannabis bud, saved his own life, saving a lot of other people, and they call it I think Ricky Simpson Oil, RSO. Mm-hmm. Well, I called the dispensaries, like the local dispensary here, and nobody knows. I mean, they know what it is, but nobody has it. Nobody has this product. And it seems incredible that there's something they know works, and they don't have it. Now, I went to the Grove personally, and I said, now, is there such a thing? And they said, yes, there is. But for some reason, all the products here have to be produced in Nevada. You cannot get anything from, like order it from California or Colorado. The dispensaries have to grow it right here. So we're in a quandary as far as if you don't have the product and you got a dispensary, you know, what's the solution? So if you could maybe talk a little bit about a little more on the GMOs or the positive effects of actually eating the cannabis. And this Suzanne said whole societies that are starving could actually, if they grow cannabis, they can eat it and thrive, but usually it's illegal any place you go in the world. Yeah. So people can't do it. So it's just something I was thinking about when you mentioned it, and I had one more call due during your show. I always let the third segment go. You're on your own. You wing it on the third segment. But now you got the ball again, Doctor. You got a good show. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ray, thanks. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of a lot of the studies with cannabis are going to be from the Journal of what we call irreproducible results. It's going to be a lot of hearsay, and there's going to be some, non-documented controlled studies where you're going to get that thing. I mean, same thing with B17 Laetrile. I mean, I had one person who came to my office and basically said he was going to live this abusive lifestyle, but he was going to take B17 because he knew it was going to prevent cancer. So it was kind of like, I'm going to go do whatever I want to do, but I'm going to take this miracle drug to help prevent cancer. So I didn't see the logic behind that, but I don't know what's happened to that individual. Those people come and go pretty quickly. But I do get these stories from people who are using marijuana, and it is amazing how they are able to get off of a lot of their medications. But we do know that, and I said it on the last show, we can take some pages out of some of the things that they do allow it to do, and we can look at why it's useful in seizures. So if it's useful in seizures, it's basically dampening brainwave potential, because that's what all seizures are. They're basically an excitatory set of neurons in your brain that can't control its discharge, and they actually discharge in waves, and they basically will cause, depending on where they go in the brain and what they do, will cause different things to be sensations. I mean, you might have, the absence seizures where you just stare, or they might have the, Jacksonian, where you get a little and it marches, and all the way up to the grand mal seizures. So the dampening of those brain waves is very important in controlling seizure activity. That's what all the medications today were developed to do that. So, and that's why it's very useful in pain, because pain is a cortical perception. Your limbic system deep in your brain is your fight or flight. I mean, it was developed long before this part of your cortex was developed, and that's what separates us from the other mammals in the world, is just our neocortex, or the brain that is able to expand and process that information. That's why, Ray, you alluded to the fact that we can't perceive more than one pain at a time, because it all goes through these very narrow channels and then gets up into the cortex. So anything we do to control that is going to modify our perception of pain, and we know that's true because if we look at phantom pain, I mean, you can actually remove the limb, and yet you still have pain. So there's definitely an interaction between your cortex of your brain, which has memory, and the actual pain down in your legs. That's why I talk about a lot about people who have disturbed sleep architecture. They were trained not to sleep at various times, and that becomes such a pattern. Like the person who has prostate trouble and who has to wake up every night to go urinate at 3 in the morning. Even if he didn't have to urinate, he would still wake up at 3 o'clock because his body is trained to do that. And it's a very long process to untrain those memories. Just like you'll be sitting there out of nowhere, and you may smell mom's apple pie, or you may get those things. So these things that trigger those in our mind are always there, whether or not they come out and what they do are totally different things. So I think that's one thing. Now, as far as the cannabis actually healing skin cancers and doing things of that nature, it's hard to imagine that it's going to make mainstream medicine. I think it would be great if it did, but you're still going to have to find that on so-called the black market, as you probably are with stem cell research and things of that nature. There seems to be, and it may be big pharmacia, it may be they don't want us to live a long time. So if that's true, that they're not really wanting us to live forever because of all the money associated with it, I mean, who the hell knows where that all goes. So, and I do believe GMO foods are linked to a lot of diabetes and a lot of cancer and a lot of other issues, because our body just doesn't know how to digest it or handle that, not to mention the fact that it affects all those things. So we got about a few minutes left, and Chuck is going to squeeze in a question on us. Chuck.
Hey, Doc, real quick, Rick Simpson was in Canada, and he got run out of Canada. The Mounties even tried to protect him because he had cured so many of their family of cancer. And he's written a book. I have it here somewhere. I couldn't find it, but he's stowed away somewhere in Europe because, you know, the medical mafia is after him. But it's an excellent book, and it describes how to do it. The trouble is you got to become a criminal to do it. Also, it's fascinating the way you hit on things I'm reading about. I'm reading a book called The Genie Within, and just finished a 9-part series on the brain by David, somebody, he's a neuroscientist. But it talks about the subconscious versus the conscious. And like you said, how the conscious mind can only think of one thing at a time, whereas the subconscious does trillions of things day and night to keep us alive, and as well as the storing of memories, and you know, how it relates to pain, health, and all the rest, and how we can actually do things within our own attitudes and self-hypnosis and all that to help program our subconscious, which in turn helps our immune system, et cetera, et cetera. And when I come back in my next life, I'm going to be a doctor because the body is so fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it over to you with that. Thanks, Doc.
No, and I think there, you know, I think a lot of people have written a lot of books on that, but Malcolm, I think, I can't remember his last name, he had that book, The Tipping Point, and then he came out with another book after that, talked about the adaptive subconscious mind, how it's, you know, processing all of this information, and that, you know, we are aware of a lot of different things that go on around us, and just somehow we know something, or we see something, or maybe you call it a deja vu or things of that nature. But yes, the mind is an incredibly powerful organ, and we basically don't really tap into anywhere near its full potential. And you know, how to train your mind to memorize, how to, you know, be awake and be alert and be vigilant. Those are all things that, you know, when you do, and I think everybody has the potential to do that. I think a lot of times we may not lack the fortitude or the constant, you know, the desire to do those types of things, especially when everything's done for you. I remember, I'm going to close here pretty soon, but I remember Rush Limbaugh was talking about some bird that basically, if you fed it, its brain became smaller, and if you took care of it, it basically withered away. If it basically, it was forced to fend for itself and become a part of the structure of the world, so to say, and have to do everything on its own, its brain flourished and became more adaptive into what it needed to do to survive. Which I think is kind of dangerous when you think about all the, even though you're watching me on TV, not every show is as informative as this one, and as original as this one, and not scripted. But that being said, a lot of the stuff that we watch today and the commercials and things of that nature are just amazing, how they actually insult our intelligence and how much we allow that to happen and change who we are and what we are. And I think that that's very, very dangerous. But that goes into a whole different set of subjects. But I want to thank the viewing audience for tuning in tonight. Hopefully we'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a great night and a good week.